what is going on? What is going on? These kids screaming. So friggin' difficult. Not many ballet dancers can do the Rosa D. I think they're amazing, so strong. I'd love to know what exact skill that is. Anyone who's doing a Sleeping Beauty debut and Rosa D would get on that. Hello everyone, my name is Isabella. I'm a graduate of the Berets Ballet Academy, previously professional ballet dancer. I'm now founder of BWI, which is an online platform for classes and courses designed to help you get there, whether you're a pre-professional student, a pro freelance dancer, or maybe you're an adult enthusiast looking to get the guidance and details you need to succeed. You can find it all in the link down below in the description. Now let's get going with the video. Okay guys, so today we're looking at some viral ballet TikTok. I literally just typed in ballet and saw what came up. And to my surprise, some good ones came up. It wasn't all trash. I mean, on TikTok, who knows what's gonna come up when you type in ballet. But we got some good ones, some Vaganova snippets, some funny ones, and then even some snippets of variation. So it was a good rounded batch of posts. Let's dive straight in. All right, we've actually got Svetlana Zakharova here, which is really cool, doing her graduation 1996 adage. I mean, so nice. So nice. I mean, she's definitely one of the eras, or one of the recent eras, where the legs started to go super high and the lines became exaggerated. I know the Vaganovas had a sense on that for a long time, but I think she exemplified it so well. So well. This is why adage is so important, everyone. We cannot skip adage. Because to get these kinds of results and the stability in these lines, that happens from a long time of training the foundations and making yourself hold those legs for a long period of time. So many classes I go to, people skip adage. You know, and the teacher goes, "Oh, let's forget adage today. Don't worry about it." And in my mind, that's terrifying, because although it's uncomfortable, we all know by now that we have to do things which are uncomfortable for us in order to get better, in order to improve. So if we always skip adage and think, "Oh, don't worry about it," how on earth are we going to get super strong in our legs and stable? Because when we come into the center, we want to have held our turnout at the bar whilst holding the leg there. We want to be trembling at the bar so the muscles are really working, so that when we come to the center, we're solid, stable, and we can lift those legs. Because holding your leg a la second at the bar on a beautiful turned out leg is really hard, especially when you're asked to hold it for a long time, which at Vaganova they always do. So it's something which we all have to go through so that we can get on the other side and then actually enjoy adage, because initially, who enjoys it? All right, this is completely different. So this is now looking at rosin, and how rosin is very important for the floor. So it looks like this person is on a super slippery wooden floor. But it's actually super interesting, because rosin is something which you wouldn't necessarily, especially as a non-dancer, if you're watching, you wouldn't associate rosin to go on the point shoe. It's something that goes on violins, right? It's something that's used on musical instruments, but it does exactly the same, because the block is made out of canvas, such as the classic frieze or the block, and it's made with paste and shellac. Especially if the satin is fresh and you haven't cut it or you haven't darned it, that's a very slippery surface, and so most professionals will cut that off or darn around it to prevent slipping and to have better balance, which is why ballerinas are always sewing their shoes. They never stop. Even the pros sometimes go on stages where it's completely slippery and they can't control that with any amount of sewing. In Vaganova, fun fact, they used to use a watering can across the studios. So when the studios were wooden, they didn't actually have rosin, or the thing is, the amount of rosin they would have had to have gone to would have been massive. So they just put water down, and there was just a watering can in the studio all the time, which I kind of just loved. I found that so very poetic, just having this watering can. It was just so romantic having someone walk across the room making these swirls with the watering can, and then you stepped on, and it was almost as if you were hoping that your dancing would then come into full bloom, which sounds silly, but it's very metaphorical. Okay, so now we move on. So the next video is actually a variation that I came across, and it is Marinella doing Don Quixote, Kitri, Act 1. So her first entrance, her variation. Now Marinella is just so utterly controlled. Some would call her, and I'm sure she'd enjoy this if I called her this, she's like the Roger Federer of ballet. She makes it look so easy, like it's completely easy for her, like nothing is strenuous, like she can do this in her sleep. And what I've noticed is everything's very subtly done with her. It looks calm and collected, and she also dances in a very human way. Now hear me out here, it's like she's almost not dancing. It's very like, even her nuances are so human and so down to earth, and as if she's dancing with a friend. It doesn't feel like she's on stage doing a solo. It feels like we're on the street and we're dancing together. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel with her. Whereas with other ballerinas, you lose yourself in a different way. It's very ethereal and you're kind of mesmerized in their movement. With Marinella, I feel like she makes it more approachable, and not in the sense of her skill, but in the sense that you feel like you're very much watching a person perform. And I can only say it's very human, which is a really nice thing. All right, guys, now we got Isabella Boylston doing some fouettes on point in Black Swan. I actually love her content. I love how real it is. I love how she's very much telling the world, look, it's hard being a ballerina. Look at me struggling. I'm holding on for dear life. Like, it's great. And I love that about her. So she's doing her fouettes. Her calf's about to fall off, which is very real. She can't feel herself. Relax, stay on the music, LOL. And then she finishes with a double with her arms up, which is really cool. I don't know if I've never seen anyone else really do that. But yeah, I just love that. She's so down to earth and seems very, again, human and approachable. It's very nice, I think, for young students to see someone who's literally made it to the top, who's probably one of their icons, and they look at her and think, you see, there's someone who I look up to really struggling. And that's okay. Even the pros struggle. Even the pros have to fight for their life in those moments. And that's all part of it. It's all part of the process and part of being a pro ballerina. Okay, here's a girl stretching her foot like crazy. Okay, first of all, like, beautiful feet. Insane feet. I mean, she looks so chill as well. Like, here I am just breaking my feet. I'm sure a lot of non-dancers watching this will always be like, what is happening? You know, what is going on? What is this torture of this woman's foot? When actually she's doing a very decent stretch for the foot. It looks similar to the one that's in my Amazing Feet course. Here it is. I'll show a snippet here. And it's a completely homemade foot stretcher. I mean, you don't need anything fancy. You need a foam roller and a TheraBand. That's it. And it really does a good job. So many people do my Amazing Feet course and it's helped them tons, not just with foot stretching, but also the intrinsic muscles. We have to stretch the feet as dancers, less so if you've got super archy feet, but it really helps you feel the whole line of the foot. And the key thing is just to make sure you're stretching safely without injuring yourself, because the feet are very fragile. You know, there's so many bones in the feet and the ligaments are fragile. So when you stretch, you've just got to be careful that you're not overstretching the ligaments and you're also looking after your feet, which is why strength over flexibility training with the feet is actually more important in my opinion. Okay, next one. Okay, I love this one. This is all about ballet core. There's kind of a trend going around that's showing, you know, real ballet core. I find the term ballet core kind of really confusing to put into words, because I know what it means. I understand it, but I can't explain it. It's kind of like when you learn a language and you know the past tense of the word and you say it, but then someone says, but why do you say it that way? And you go, I don't know, I just know. Describe to me ballet core in the comments and let me know what it means. For me, it's like ballet fashion. It's like the core of ballet. And it's come from the fashion world, I think. You know, people designing clothes which look very much like a ballerina and calling it ballet core. But actually, this is the real ballet core with our scarves wrapped around our backs. It's sort of the authentic ballet look rather than the stereotypical ballet look. So we're looking at these dancers from Australian Ballet. This account's called Belle. She's super cool. I think she's super fun. And I love these kind of videos, you know, backstage, looking at what people are wearing, just casual. And they all look stunning, you know, stunning in shape, beautiful. And people strutting in the dressing rooms. Yeah, ballet core is also just like ballet life, like real ballet life. Here we are, sat on the floor, tired, completely exhausted. Yeah, I loved it. So let me know in the comments what you think. And what is your ballet core, if you could put it into words. Move on to Yana now. I'm sure a lot of you follow. And she often shows her balances when she was super young to now, which I think this video was. And 2014, oh my gosh, she's so young. I mean, in 2014, I was already working. So, yeah, she's so fabulous at balances. So amazing to have that sort of control. And obviously many people have gone crazy for it because it's kind of just insane balancing on your toes, especially as a little kid. I mean, it's crazy, that kind of stability when she's younger. I feel like kids from the Vaganova school, they prioritize a lot more the control when they're practicing. Have you noticed? They don't do loads of fancy stuff. What do? They do adage. They do balances on point. They do simple passe perfectly, making sure they land in those clean fifths. I feel like those are the priorities which are set from a student who understands the importance of foundations and from someone who's in a pro school. Like, it's so important. They're not always practicing fouettes when they're 10, you know, although it's fun. They also prioritize practicing adage because their teacher wants beautiful alignment and lines so that when they get older, it's not as difficult for them. Okay, so amazing, Yana. Let's move on. This post has had 3 million likes. That is insane. That's crazy. I think it's always so fascinating for people to see someone basically annihilate and demolish their shoes. Because, you know, when I ask non-dancers this, they're like, but you've bought them. Why are you destroying them? And the point is, no, it's like we've bought a sweater off the rack and it should be snug around our whole body. It should be body hugging, but it's super baggy and we have to then contour it to our body. Not that we buy the point shoe baggy, like it definitely fits, but it's so that the shoe molds to the foot a bit more. We cut it in places so that it lines the arch rather than has this solid big stick basically down, straight down, because it is essentially really hardened with shellac. So we have to mold it so it comes into the foot and contours the foot. And the whole idea is that the point shoe fits you so snugly and it feels so at one with your foot that you kind of forget you've got the point shoes on and you can dance a lot more freely. And you don't literally feel like you have these bricks on the ends of your feet. You feel like they're an extremity to your legs. Okay, next one. Okay, guys, next one. So this is Natalie Taylor, who is super cool. So she's got loads of likes on this. And this is, I may not understand anything STEM related, but I understand this word for word. So at least I have that. And it's basically a dancer's ability to mark something and just hear the exercise, hear what the exercise is, and then just be able to do it. Having just heard a little bit of the combination, sometimes you're not even shown it, but you just understand it and then you can just go. So it's a real skill that dancers have, and it develops a lot as you get more professional because you end up being able to just kind of watch or just mark a little bit with your hands, and then you understand the combination and off we go. And that's why ballet is actually so amazing for adult students as well. And in fact, amazing for people with Alzheimer's. So in the UK, for example, they actually have special programs and charities where they give ballet lessons to disabled people and people with Alzheimer's to help their memory, which isn't that amazing? Because basically you're training your short-term memory and your long-term memory with choreography, but essentially in a class, you're training your short-term memory because you stand at the bar and you learn these basic combinations or these tricky combinations depending on your level within literally a minute, 2 minutes. And then you have to replicate it with your whole body and be artistic and show accent and nuance. So it's a real skill. So ballet goes far beyond just better posture. It also helps your brain power too. Okay guys, this next person, I will read her name in a moment when I click on the video. And one that I found that is so with the music, so on the music, that even though I'm not so impressed when people do like 20 pirouettes, you know, and then are off the music. Granted, it's amazing that you can do that. I mean, hats off to you. That is like Olympic gold medal type amazing skills. But like, for example, when someone loses all musicality for the sake of doing more turns, I'm like not as impressed because it's like, okay, but the variation is kind of lost now. Whereas this dancer I found is amazing. She's turning so fast and she's so on the music. Let's have a look at her. So this is Meredith. 4.5 million likes. I mean, well deserved. But just look at her go. She's so powerful. You can see her head is also just so amazed. You can see how her head is just, we're going to watch it again. It's so amazing with her spotting. Her back is just being used so much and she is not afraid. She is pulling up for dear life and pushing her knee open, utilizing her back. I mean, incredible. Now, I will also stress when you watch that, you're looking at the result of a lot of hard work. Someone who has been practicing and probably falling a lot. So never feel discouraged when you see someone who's kind of nailing it with the pirouettes and going like crazy. She's probably been practicing a lot and become quite obsessed with her pirouettes. And for good reason. Now they're amazing. You know, hard work pays off. So it's all about where you place your time and your priorities. If you practice a lot with your pirouettes, then they're going to get good. And she has very good internal rhythm. You know, the rhythm with the music, the rhythm of her head, the rhythm of her back and her legs as well. Really great. So yeah, go you, Meredith. Okay, now we're watching something which I love, and this is ABT's opening scene of the Swans in Swan Lake, where they come on, and I just think they look so incredible. And I also really enjoy the sound of their point shoes, because often companies don't like it if the point shoes are really noisy, but because we're backstage, you probably can't hear it as much from the audience, but you can hear the more and more swans that go on stage, the sound gets louder, but a lot of them wear freed, I think, which are quite loud. Some companies don't mind as much if they're loud. You know, some places are like, I don't want to hear any sound. Like, I seem to remember when I was at the Royal Ballet School, they literally didn't want to hear a single sound with your point shoes, which is really, really hard, especially when they were brand new. Okay, here we go. Just the sound of the berets. Yeah, and then here they go on. If I wouldn't want any chance that I would be seen marking it with the curtain, so I would often be doing it like some of those girls are, like off stage at the same time. But they look so together, and I love it how she did a peace sign before she went on. So cool. And I think that's one really nice thing about the corps de ballet, the sense of camaraderie, the sense of community, the sense of teamwork before you go on. And you know, they say it's lonely at the top, and although it's amazing to be a soloist and it's amazing to be a principal, I do think there's something very beautiful and very nice about doing corps de ballet work. And let's say you're someone who doesn't necessarily make it to the top, or doesn't necessarily want to make it to the top, but you want to be a ballet dancer. Yes, there's stress on you, but there's different stress. It's not like everyone's watching you stress. So that's quite a nice life, really. Everyone's different. I wouldn't be surprised if some people think like that. I think as ballet dancers, I'm going a bit deep now, but I think as ballet dancers, we often think that everyone wants to become that principal. And granted, yes, that's most people's goal. It was certainly my goal to get to the top and be the best I could. But I think there's something really nice about, let's say, accepting that I just want to be in the corps de ballet and be a really good corps de ballet member and enjoy my life as a ballet dancer. It's a really important job and they look really good doing it. But one has to really want that and accept it, because you do get corps de ballet members who have been there a long time, especially if they're on a lifetime contract and they're not retiring because they want to be paid, but they don't want to be there either. And then they resent anyone who's new and young coming in. You know, it can be quite ugly. I did experience some of that at the Mikhailovsky Ballet. I was new and I came in and there were some dancers there who were like, had been there like years. And I was like, why are they still dancing? They clearly don't want to be here. And that was also kind of not super nice, you know, when you've come out fresh out of school and you're so motivated and you can't wait, you're raring to go with your career, and you see people who have been there decades and they just want to leave. They just hate everything, every rehearsal. And it's quite sad, actually. So, you know, I think people in general need to do what they love, and if they don't love it anymore, it's time to move on. Okay, guys, now this is this Chinese sort of circus ballet thing. They are amazing, and this kind of video has been around for literally decades. I remember watching this when I was a kid. Look how flat this woman's hips are and body is. She is so long in her hip flexors and so flat in her body, it's kind of insane. But I think that's the only way she's kind of balancing with this kind of extremely flat body. He's got the muscles to support her weight and to support her foot. He's incredible at his job, but the trust they have is absolutely insane, and her balance is crazy. To do that, guys, let me tell you, is so friggin' difficult. The amount of balance one needs to hold that position, even on a stable surface like the floor. Not many ballet dancers can do the Rosa D. You know what I mean? Not many ballet dancers can lift their arm up for 2 seconds in an attitude. A lot of people, that's like stress level 100. This woman is balancing on a man's shoulder for about 30 seconds to a minute, maybe longer. No, much longer. Probably a few minutes, which is crazy. And I think they're amazing, so strong. And I'd love to know what exact skill that is in terms of what exactly is her training, what exactly is her cross training for her balance, because I'm sure if some ballet dancers saw what she was doing, I'm sure if we found out what her training regimen was, anyone who's doing a Sleeping Beauty debut and Rosa D would get on that. Okay, right, let's move on. And we've got two more. I think all of these are Royal Ballet dancers. I actually think quite a lot of these are the hardest lifts for the man. There are some lifts which are also really hard for the women, but a lot of these are not actually that difficult. Like this Swan Lake one, yeah, it's quite hard, but it's not that bad. And that Tom de Flèche is also not bad. All of these are like the poor man just has to kind of lift us up, basically. Like that one's really hard, the beginning one for the guy, because she's literally like a dead weight. She's not helping, you know. So yeah. So the final one, which is kind of crazy, these poor kids being stretched. I mean, I came across this on TikTok and I was just like, what is going on? What is going on? These kids screaming and this woman pushing them down. Kind of mental. And they're all crying. Yeah, no, I had to get flexible much later in life. Like my mum did not put me in gymnastics. She did not put me in stretch school, you know, or whatever it's called. When I look back at people like Sylvie Guillem or Alina Khoshiharu who did gymnastics when they were younger, a lot of dancers do gymnastics when they were younger because it's actually a bit easier to transition to the next thing. Thinking back, would it have been easier if I did gymnastics? I mean, sure. maybe that would have been better for me. Maybe that would have been a little less stress when I was older. But I never think you should like put children through trauma and torture like that. They are so young there. Really, we should teach kids how to stretch safely when they're at an age where they understand, number one, what's happening. She looks so young, like she doesn't even know what's happening. You know, so that, let me know what you think about that, because obviously they do that mostly in like Russian places, I think, and in China as well, I think they do. And let me know what you think about that in the comments below. But I'm not a huge fan, and I think that can not bode well for future self-esteem, future confidence, future kind of, anything. So let me know what you think down below about that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching these viral TikToks. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to do videos like this in the future. Ultimately, I'm here to share my passion for ballet and to help you succeed if you're someone who's looking to become the best they can. Otherwise, if you're just a ballet fan, I hope you enjoy my videos, and I can't wait to see you soon. Bye for now.